Hello, welcome to 15 Minutes of Consulting Best Practices. My name is Maria Isabel Rios and I'm joined by David A. Fields. Hello, David.
Hello, Maria Isabel. It's nice to see you.
Good to see you too. All right, this is a space where we answer your questions about your consulting firm, how to grow them, how to create success. And our answers are informed by our experience in working with consulting firms. That's all we do, from solo practices all the way to boutique consulting firms. So send your questions. It takes us a minute. Those of you who are familiar with the space to see any comments or questions that you popped in. So if you're here, say hello. And also submit any questions that you have today for us. Likewise, this is a discussion. So the group benefits from your input, from your insights on the comments and questions of others. So don't be shy, participate. And having said that, Deidre, can you please share the first question that came in for today? All right, and this question is for you, David.
Okay.
Question says, you always say that the purpose of outreach is to have a conversation, not to sell, but to connect. And
Okay.
I buy that. I'm in, right? Thank you, Kate. With that in mind, what do I do when I send a 111 message and someone doesn't respond, which is the majority of the time? In other words, how long do I wait to do the next 111? Okay, this is a question we get quite frequently. So what do you say to Kate, David?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I say to Kate is I'd actually like to see your 111 messages because our experience has been the response rate is around 40%. So I guess you say majority of the time, but I heard that as like most of the time. Almost half the time you should get a response to 111s, but because it's really effective. That said, I mean there are people who won't respond, and then you just need to make a decision whether you're going to keep them on your list. And if you keep them on the list, you throw them back into your dormant pool, and the next time they come up in the natural cycle of outreach, which might be 2 months or 3 months or 4 or 5 or 6, depending on what your natural cycle is, you just reach out with another 111, and that's just part of the process. There was a CEO of a fairly large one of our clients, but they're like $300-400 million, and he's notoriously hard to get a hold of. I sent 111s for after we had done an engagement, so he knew me. I want to say 3 years before I got him to respond again, and it's got it. He's hard to get a hold of, and when he was ready, he's ready. And the 111 serve as reminder advertising. Yeah, that's my thought. Maria Isabel, would you tell Kate anything in addition?
No, I will take Kate exactly what you did. The one word of caution is, even though you may want to send them really close together, there is such a thing as sending a 111 too frequently, right? So resist the temptation of sending a 111 every 4 weeks. Then people are going to be like thinking that there's a lot of insistence for a connect email. All right. And there's a question from Lynette. So thank you for sending that. You want to read it? Or do you want me to read it?
I'll read it. Hi, I'm Isabel and David. What would be a good approach or best practice for handling situations where potential clients are delaying discussions or projects on hold due to uncertainty caused by political climate? Yeah, there's a lot of this going on. Looking forward to your insights. What do you think, Maria Isabel?
All right. So thank you for thinking about this. Not unusual, right? Like you said, David, I think in this context, at least in the US, people are starting to see, okay, do we wait? Do we not wait? We thought we had a decision made. Is there a better decision? Elsewhere in the world, same situation, right? A bit of a further delay, a lot of speed bumps that we're seeing. So one way to handle this is to define, okay, what are we waiting to know? Or what are we waiting to see before we can make a decision on whether to continue with this project or with this proposal or with this context discussion, depending where you're at, or to stop altogether, right? The more you can define what are the milestones or what are the criteria that will let you know whether they're ready or not, and you both agree that those are the milestones that you will use, the better. And on top of that, layer recurring touch points. that are not too far apart, that you will have a lag between the milestone being met and your next connection point. So say, okay, let's be in touch. How about we touch bases every, I don't know, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then we'll check in, have any of these parameters changed? Have any of these things changed? And the minute they have changed, then we'll know whether the project is going forward or not. So you're keeping a level of momentum, a level of conversation going while you're waiting for political climate to stabilize somewhat or for a decision to be made around that. What do you think, David?
Yeah, well, I mean, I agree. Okay, I think practically and tactically, that's exactly right. I think the what I would add on top of that as a layer is stay right side up, meaning you can't force the project on a client, right? Consulting's not sold, consulting is bought. So be empathetic. If they're delaying because of the climate, then be understanding and empathetic, and they're more likely to move forward with you if they feel heard about that. But it's happening. The cycle times had shortened a little bit prior to January, like in December, January, and what we've seen is they've lengthened a little bit in the last 6-8 weeks because of the uncertainty. So it just is a little bit is what it is. It's not just you. Sorry, did you want to do something else, Maria Isabel? I know that someone had submitted a question on the, they'd written a comment.
Right.
And Deidre, did you capture that as a, there it is.
Okay, so you want to let's do this question first, and then let's jump to Mary and Michael's questions as well. Okay, so I'll read this question for you, David. Anand said, what are best practices when bringing in associate partners for a project? And what is a fair fee share ratio if I source the client relationship and project? Okay.
I'm gonna go out here. Anand, you'll correct me if I'm wrong. I'm assuming by associate partner, you mean you're subcontracting, right? You're bringing in someone from the outside. Right. Okay, this was when I ran the Ascending Consortium. This was our whole model, and I will tell you the philosophy I ran that with, which was I wanted to do 20% of the work for 50% of the fees, which is a nice lucrative model. When we were bringing in outsiders, which was the entire model, I would go to a prospective subcontractor, a partner, whatever you want to call it, contractor, and say, I'm going to tell you an opportunity. About an opportunity, you have 3 choices, or 3 possible responses. Your responses are, I already know about this project, so I'm not going to work it with you, or and I know this client, or I know this client, but I don't know about this project, so it's obviously you know them better, and it's your project, or this is unknown, right? And I would say whichever the 3 is your response is perfect, is fine. In most cases, they didn't know about the project. And then I would describe the scope of work and ask them, what's your fee to do this? Quote me a fee. Give me 2, actually. Tell me what fee is a satisfactory fee, considering you're not taking the risk. It's not your name on the line, and you didn't source the project. And tell me what fee would delight you. And then, because all of our projects are sold on fixed fee, subcontractors also need to be on fixed fee. I would not revenue share per se. What I would do is hire a subcontractor and pay them for a project to be done for you on behalf of the end client. And then you can manage the whole pie. And you have to manage it so that you're making a solid margin. That's slightly vague. Marisabel, did I give enough, or do I need to give more detail on that? Or Anand, did I give enough, or do you need more detail?
Right. If you're here, right. More importantly than what I think. But what I heard you say is you had guideposts.
Yeah.
And at the same time, your starting point was what would delight and what would be acceptable to your associate partner, to use Anand's language.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I mean, look, if it's a $100,000 project, and I say to someone, what would be your fee to do the majority of this work? And they come back and say 75, I'm going to say that there's not enough room in there for
right.
you.
Because it's outside your guidepost. Right.
Yep.
Exactly.
Okay.
Makes sense.
So
All right.
that's that. All right, let's see what else has come in here. You're asking questions all, which is good. Keep them coming, and we'll crank through them as quickly as can.
So Mary had a question.
Yeah, thank you. Let's see. So first time, thank you for coming, Mary. What recommendations would you make in my exploring potential new service lines to my consulting business? What do you think, Marie Isabel?
Okay, so we got a whole book on that,
Yeah.
Mary, right? So recommendations, quite a few. Starting point when you explore new service lines, new offerings, new kind of ponds to fish in, right? Is to start with the needs and the problems that the market wants solved. And if you have a stable network, start listening to them, right? What are the urgent, pressing problems that they need help with? And a lot of us that come from consultancies where we've developed expertise, we have the temptation of saying, you know what, we know from instinct that there's a real need to solve this problem, or that there's an opportunity that if clients only did this, they would get this much benefit out of it. And that's upside down, what we call upside down, which means it's about us and it's not really about them. And the key or the center of it is to flip that around and make the starting point of all your thinking and all your exploration to be the market. What is the market telling you? And you do that by asking. David, what do you think as a starting point?
Yeah, well, the only piece I'm not sure, Mary, is the size of your practice and whether you're exploring additional or whether you're pivoting. We typically like a firm to have around $3 million in a service line before adding an additional service line or going to another geography. Now, you'll start before then in most cases, but you can build a nice $3 million practice around a single service line. And so it's just something to keep in mind. Hi, Michael. Michael's got a question too.
Okay, so Michael says, I've been using the same fishing line for 5 years and it's been working, but it's starting to feel tired. Any suggestions for renewing, refreshing a fishing line? All right, David, what are your suggestions for renewing and refreshing a fishing line?
Well, as always, I'm going to start with a question. Michael, is it tired to your market or just tired for you? Right. So, I mean, does it need a refresh because you're bored or because you've tapped out the market? If you've tapped out the market, then it's everything that Marie Isabel just went through, right? And understanding where's the market need, that's where you go. Because all a fishing line is a reflection of a specific target and a problem they have that is urgent and expensive and pervasive enough, right? So if that's going away for some reason, then you need to do problemeter research, right? You need to ask the market what they are. If just you're tired of it, then I would remind you that consulting is not about you. Consulting is about them. It's about your prospects. That's what being right side up is. And, enjoy their response. So the market is responding, just enjoy the response to it. But feedback, Michael, if that wasn't a fair answer.
Right.
Jayan, how to develop first impression to corporate clients?
Ooh.
Marie Isabel, you want to try to tackle that?
Well,
in
I am looking at our clock, right? And our commitment to keep this at 15 minutes. So I am wondering, Jayan, if we can leave your question and start there next week in our 15 minutes of next week.
Yeah. So Jane, can you come back next week? And we'll answer it then, because probably to be fair, Marie Isabel's right. Because we have just about hit our time. We got through a bunch of questions. Thank you for asking. Thank you for coming. If this was your first time here, I really appreciate you spending 15 minutes with us. I think it goes by pretty quickly. You'll let us know. A couple quick notes before you go. So this isn't your last time coming. Put Monday Live. Thank you, Deidre, for putting that on the calendar over there or on the screen. Just add that to your calendar, davidafields.com Monday Live, and then you'll be with us every single time. In addition, it's if you're not subscribed to our articles, subscribe and join the fun and look at the illustrations and all of that. Did we do, there we go. I thought we were going to do LinkedIn. So if you're not connected to Marie Isabel or to me, let's connect on LinkedIn just so that we're connected, because, you You should be. So that's where you find us. And that's it. Thank you for being here. Look at this. We're right on time. Have an amazing week, everyone. And remember, as we just talked about with Michael, consulting's not about you. It's about them. It's about your clients. It's about your prospects. So give them value and be kind to them. And we'll see you next week. Take care.
Thank you.